Hi guys, so in today's video I am going to show you how to block prints. This is very easy to do and it wasn't that expensive. So yeah, I wanted to add a couple of images into my kitchen and I didn't want to put them in frames. So this is a very good alternative if you don't want to frame stuff. This specific one is going to my dark arts display. It has a bit of a creeper feel, so yeah, it works perfectly. So yeah, so basically what I did is I decided on the images I wanted and on the sizes, and then I went to a local laser cutter, and basically they can cut these MDF sheets for you. This is a tester I had of something else, but this is basically what the wood looks like just after it's cut. So it's nice and firm. So the top one, this part is 3 millimeters thick like this one, and then your sides that needs a bit more strength, that is 6 millimeters. So yeah, the local laser cutter I used, I do all the designs and she just cuts it, but you can give them the sizes and they can also cut it for you, and a lot of companies do that now. So yeah, so I'm going to give a quick run through of everything I used. I will put a list of everything I used in the description down below, so this is just a run through of everything. So first of all, you will need obviously your prints. Always print it on good quality paper and try to get a thicker paper and not a very porous paper. Then you go to your local laser cutter and they can cut these for you to the size of your image. Then you will obviously need again an anti-cutter, a steel ruler, as well as a cutting mat. To paste your sides, I used a wood glue. This one, I love this one because it's very versatile, and it does cure very quickly. So yeah. Then to keep your edges in place, I just used a masking tape. For the paint, I used Annie Sloan graphite, and I only did one layer of this. Then for the varnish, this is for the back and for the paint, I used the Grip Seal clear varnish. And then obviously to seal your picture, I used Mod Podge. So yeah, and that is basically what you're gonna need to do this. So yeah, like I said, it's super easy to do and it's really not that expensive. I have made 5 in total and it cost me about 80 bucks, which is not that much because that is basically what you're gonna pay for one frame. So yeah. these, they all fit really nicely. So I'm going to move on to the Mod Podge. I'm basically just going to paste each one on top and let that dry and then start coating it. I think for this project I will most probably give it 4 coats in the end, and remember, use sand in between each and every coat. Okay, so the next step, I'm going to do the Mod Podge over pictures. Like usual, I am going to first do my first layer from top to bottom and my second layer from side to side. That way it just seals your Mod Podge properly, and in future if you want to maybe wipe this down with a damp cloth, then you can. So I will do about 3 or 4 layers, I'm not too sure. I'll definitely do 3. But I'll see how it goes. And then just remember, in between each layer you just gently sand it with very fine sandpaper. I'm going to use 1200. Be very gentle, it's just to get rid of any bumps and lumps, and just to make the end product really smooth. So yeah. So the next step is to put these up. I always do my layout before I start drilling. That way I know, I'm sure, in what order I want it to be, and maybe do some small changes here and there. So the first thing I do is I'm going to measure how far this is going to be. And from the top of the first one to the bottom of the last one, it is 65. So now I know how much space I'm going to use on the wall, and I know where my top should start. So this is the wall I'm going to use for the 3 smaller blocks. The larger one I'm going to put elsewhere in my kitchen. So yeah, so the measurements from the top of the first one and the bottom of the last one was 65. So what I do is I just lock the tape measure in at 65, and then I can just put it against my wall and basically see where I want it to be. So I can put it all the way back down here, I can put it up there, but then you basically have an idea of where you should start and where it'll end in the end. So I think about here should be fine. So I just mark this off, and then I know that is my starting point. So I always do 1 hole at a time. If you do multiple holes, the chances are you're gonna stuff it up, or something's not gonna line up properly. So yeah, I always take my time with this and do 1 hole at a time and just measure every single thing the whole time. The mark I've made for the top one. Measuring this is going to be super easy because I'm working with 2 walls that are parallel to one another, whereas a big open wall is a lot more difficult to get something lined up. So if I measure from this wall to the window, it is 44.5. So the half of that is going to be 22.25. But what I'm thinking is, because this is close to a window, I am going to put it more towards the wall side. So I think I'm going to put it at 21 rather than 22.25. So I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to get the picture and just double check how it's going to look. If I'm not happy, I can always shift it around, but as soon as you've done your first hole, you're basically stuck with that hole. So yeah, always make sure for the first hole. So I'm pretty happy with where this is going to sit in the end. So I always use a lot of different size drills. So I'm going to use these 4. This is going to be my pilot hole, and then I just use these to make the hole bigger. So yeah, a lot of people only use 1 drill or maybe 2. I found that if you use multiple drills, your holes are a lot more straight and you have a lot more control, especially if you're doing multiple images that have to line up. It's a lot safer to use multiple drills than just 1 or 2. So it takes a lot more time, but I don't mind it because I like doing stuff like this. So yeah. Happy with the top one, so we can now carry on to the next one. In my previous layout, I spaced them 3 centimeters apart from one another, so that's going to be more or less there, and I'm still happy with that. At this point, if I wanted to add an extra centimeter or reduce it a bit more, I can, and that's why I always do a layout before, as well as measure in between and make sure that I'm still happy with what it's going to look like in the end. So yeah, so if I go ahead and measure the 3 centimeters. So for this one, I'm going to over measure a bit, but it's just so that you can understand how I get my measurements. And I always do this with the second one, especially if stuff have to line up, because if you do it with the second one, you know what to do with all the others, and it's a lot easier this way. And also you double check yourself. So yeah, nothing can really go wrong if you do it this way. So yeah, so the 3 centimeter is the space between the top of this one and the bottom of the first one. But then you still have to calculate the width of the wood at the top. So the width of this is 6 millimeters. So I am going to add 6 millimeters. So that is the edge of the inside. But then you still have to remember this line is going to be the top of your screw. So if you just measure the bottom, you know that the middle, this is 8, so I'm going to measure it there. So that is going to be the middle of your screw. And if you, let's just do that. And if you measure from there to there, you can see what the measurement is. So this is an odd, it's 3.8 millimeters, which is silly. So rather make it 4 centimeters. So it's going to be there. And then for the next one, you know, just to measure 4 centimeters from the bottom of the next one. So that makes life a lot easier, especially if you're doing a lot of blocks. So the best way to get marks off of your wall is with Handy Andy. This really works like a charm. and it comes off really, really easily. So now I measure I measure 4 centimeters, and then from the wall I measure 21. So we can just double check it. That's 4 from the bottom and 21 from the side. So I remove the other one and then I draw my new hole. So I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I think the colors work perfectly with the red from my kitchen. Oh yeah, like you can see, I've added the bigger one at the bottom because the 3 on their own at the top kind of looked weird. So yeah, I decided to put the bigger one at the bottom. And then basically I've ordered a new cat bed that's gonna go there. And like you can see, that is where my cats eat. So I think the space between there and the cat bed is going to be just enough. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I will see you next Sunday.